it's Lauren. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a fun little video with this pink-haired guy. If you're new here, my name is Lauren and I post videos 3 times a week on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything. And without further ado, Valentine's Day is tomorrow, and I thought that it would be fun to kind of share the story of how we met, because a lot of people have actually asked that question. I think we need to explain why your hair is pink so that everyone knows pink.
Don't touch it, I have the stuff in it. I dyed my hair pink just a couple of days ago for the Hair Massacre. It's to raise awareness and raise money for cancer research, pediatric cancer research, and grant wishes as well.
Okay, so I guess our story starts Halloween of 2012, right?
Yeah. I had started working at the radio station in Ottawa.
Hot 89.9.
And I'd only been there a short time.
Yeah, not very long.
Yeah, a couple of months anyway. And yeah, it was Halloween. I was dressed as
Elliot
from E.T.
with E.T.
I had my phone in my pocket playing the do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Is that trademark? Can I even say that?
I don't know. We're not monetized.
Steven Spielberg will come at us and be like, no. So yeah, I was dressed all like that. I had the best costume at the station. I had worked for weeks to perfect it and make this perfect costume.
I know exactly where you're going.
And then you roll in with the worst costume in the building, hands down.
Okay, my side of the story now.
I'll tell your side of the story. Your side of the story was you worked for the sister station.
Live 885.
Yeah.
Represent.
And their colors are orange, and you dressed in one of their orange down jackets. And then you put, I think it was black duct tape, triangles here, and then made the mouth, and you were a pumpkin.
So we were doing reverse trick-or-treating, and it was cold out, and we had to wear a live jacket. And so I said to my partner, why don't we at least make these festive and become pumpkins? Because these were like Michelin Man puffer jackets, huge. And so we already looked like pumpkins. So it wasn't laziness, it was just working with what I had and being creative.
Anyway, long story short, we met on Halloween, both of us wearing costumes.
Yeah.
And I call yours a costume.
I think I remember the first thing you said to me too.
I don't remember that.
So David has this thing where he hands out the candy nibs to his coworkers. Every radio station that you've worked at, you always bring nibs around, and I keep thinking of our cat, but no, nibs the candy, like the long Twizzler candy.
I give out kittens to everyone.
I wish.
You get a kitten, and you get a kitten.
And the first thing that you said to me was you put the bag over, and you were like, oh, do you want some nibs? And I was like, oh, no thanks, I don't like those. And you said, oh, I guess we can't be friends.
Look how that turned out.
So what did you think when you first saw me?
Trouble. I was like, no, this is trouble.
Why is it trouble?
I don't know, just because you were trouble. I was like, stay away from me. I had come off like, I was like 2 years single, sort of repairing from the last relationship. You know, it's like, I'm gonna be me for a bit, and then you roll in, and I'm like, God damn it. I'm starting this new job, this new career, and I just need to focus on this, and then all of a sudden you show up, so.
Then you meet a pumpkin. So that was the first day that we ever met. And fun fact, I just learned that my parents, they met on Halloween too. And that was interesting. They met at a costume party. My dad was a vampire and my mom was a cat. And we met on Halloween. What do you know?
This video is so cheesy, and I am so sorry.
I am here for it. Okay, so we met on Halloween, but we didn't start dating or anything, or even really talking for a while. I think because we worked very different schedules, and I think that I saw you again right before Christmas, and I remember seeing you in the kitchen getting ready for your show, and I said, oh, have a nice Christmas cruise, and you said, have a nice Christmas, Lauren, and that was it.
I love how you remember these interactions. I have no recollection of any of these. All I remember of that time is that I would go into the staff kitchen to prep my show and organize what I was going to talk about on the air that night. And then every day you just seemed to kind of end up there.
So I remember it was ratings, which is like a big time of year for stations. I was coming in every day because we had shifts that we had to do every day on live. And you were always in the kitchen because that's where you got ready for your show. And so I remember there was this one time that I came in and I talked to you. And then for some reason when I left to go on my shift, I just kept thinking about you. And I just like kept thinking about you in my head, and the drive to wherever we were going, it was around the time where you were about to come on, and the host beforehand was just like making all these funny puns with your name. I can't remember what they were, but I remember hearing him and he was laughing like he was getting ready to introduce you. And I remember like trying to think of a pun to say so that when I got back to work later, I could go in and use one of those puns on you. So the entire shift, it was like 3 or 4 hours, I was thinking about a pun. And then finally, when we got back to the station, I remember I popped my head into the studio and you were like, "Oh, hi, Lauren." And I was like, "Oh, hi, Cruz." And then I said my pun, which I don't remember.
You remember everything else, but you just built us all up and you don't even remember the pun? You probably said something like, "Sorry, I can't stay. I gotta cruise on out of here."
You know, it was probably something like that.
Something super cheesy, yeah.
And the look on your face, because I think you thought that I was just in there to say hi. And then when I said the pun, you were just like, and yes, I did used to come into the station. I used to always come in and steal his pen to do crossword puzzles because I told you that I just really loved crossword puzzles, which I don't. I just wanted to spend some time with you.
Who the hell loves crossword puzzles?
I just
you
really
see, that's
you.
like a precursor to everything we know about you now. That you're like my 80-year-old girlfriend. Like, "Hey, Lauren, you want to go and get drunk at a bar tonight?" "No, let's stay at home and watch the Golden Girls."
You introduced me to the Golden Girls.
I know, I did.
So yeah, that was kind of where we talked a lot, was in the lunchroom. And I used to get David to give me movie recommendations so that I could watch the movies and then we could talk about them. I am a stalker.
Big time, yeah.
Why don't you tell
I
us?
did none of these things. I just sat and did my job, the job that I was paid to do in a stationary place, and you kept invading my workspace and tracking me down.
All of this happened in from October of 2012, and then finally on April 22nd, 2013, you finally asked me over.
Yeah, it wasn't really a date or anything. It was just, we had been messaging each other back and forth on Messenger, and then, so I knew something was up, and it was just, hey, wow, I had just moved into my place in Canada, and it was empty. I had spent every nickel and dime that I've ever scraped together to finally buy a house, and I had nothing in it. It's like, why don't you come over to my empty house? What I do remember about that is when you came over, I had only been living there for a few weeks, and I had no furniture. All of our books were, well, I guess my books at the time.
Yeah.
There was only about 50 of them, but they were all stacked up in a bedroom. I didn't even have bookshelves. But I do remember giving you the tour of the house, and then when I got
You stapled yourself.
to
He was showing off his red stapler from Office Space, and then he stapled himself.
I have no memory of that. You tell that story all the time, and I have no memory of doing that.
How could I forget you stapling
But I
yourself
did.
on our first date?
I did have a red stapler, the one that they have in Office Space. So we went downstairs, and I had a small room, which is a storage room, and it had a table, this long table, and I used it for all of my tools. And in the weeks that my friends had come over and we had been sort of fixing the place up, I referred to it as the kill room because I had been watching a lot of Dexter, and there was a table set up and a light and everything, and it's exactly the way that Dexter would kill his victims. And I came down and I was just like, "Oh yeah, and that's the kill room," not thinking this is the first time that you've been to my house. We only kind of know each other. And I was like, well, that didn't come out right. So I guess I'll walk you out kind of thing. But you didn't leave.
No. And I just need
when I say she didn't leave, I mean she never left. That was the last time
You look ridiculous.
That was the last time that we were ever apart.
I need to say, the night that you finally asked me out, I remember I was sitting in a chair and we'd been messaging back and forth, and my old roommate Amanda and her mom were over. And then all of a sudden on my phone, I get the message, do you want to hang out tonight? And I literally had my phone and I did this. And I threw it across the room. And then Amanda and her mom look at me and they're like, what? What's happening? And I was like, Cruz finally asked me out. What do I say?
Well, there's another thing as well.
And they're like, say yes.
There's another thing as well. When we first started hanging out, you were calling me Cruz.
Because that's how I met
Yeah,
you.
and then I had to put a stop to that. Like when you came over to my place, I think that's like the first night you were just like, oh, hey Cruz. And I was like, okay, first off, that has to stop.
It's David.
Yeah, you're gonna have to call me David or else this is gonna be really weird.
So yeah, we hung out, I slept over, and yeah, pretty much never left.
Please, the kids are watching.
I'm just saying I slept over. But that was pretty much it. And then we just say that our anniversary is the 22nd because...
Well, that was like our first kind of hangout other than like...
But then we continued to hang out,
Yeah,
you know?
seeing each other at work and stuff like that. So yeah.
I remember, so before David, I'd pretty much dated...
Whoa. There was a before me?
Before David, I'd pretty much dated assholes, to be honest. Like, I did not date very good guys. And I was pretty much ready for that next morning after David and I had hung out. I was ready to not hear or see from him for like 2 weeks. I was ready for it. And then he literally was like, do you want to come over again tonight? And he just kept wanting to see me, and it blew me away. I was like, wow, is this what it's really supposed to be like? Is this what a good start to relationship is? There were no games. But one thing that I know, I don't think a lot of you know, is David and I actually dated in secret for a year.
Yes!
Because we both worked at the same station.
This I remember, yeah.
And we didn't know what the rules were.
Yeah.
So we dated in secret for a year and only came out when we had to move to Vancouver a year later.
We did a pretty good job though. So when we decided to move to Vancouver, everyone was just like, wait a minute, what? You guys are... I was like, yeah, for like almost a year we've been together.
We felt very sneaky.
We were sneaky.
Yeah, I guess that's the story of how we met. Almost 7 years ago today. Make sure you stay tuned for part 2.
Is that it? Is the video over?
We're gonna end the video, but then we are gonna answer questions that you guys had for us.
We are?
Yeah. And that'll be in the next video, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to see any more little fun chats with my man, let me know. So make sure you stay tuned for part 2 of this video where we answer your questions. And if you have any questions, let me know below, because maybe we can do a part 3. But thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yes, we're both here in the
You
kitchen.
spat in my face.
Sorry. You know this.
Because David, I liked you.
I wrote them down in my diary, David.
Your impression.
Out the total... No. So...